Assalamualaikum everyone. Hope you're doing well. Exactly on time, 7. Just let me sort this out. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Assalamualaikum everyone. This is Umar Faruqi, and we are again with a webinar as promised. And this one is probably the most anticipated one because Tahir Bhai. So Tahir Bhai has graciously joined us for the CV Writing Skills webinar. This will be for around 1 hour. We'll try to cover it in time. And I think most of you already know we created the event page. Most of you signed up for it. And in case you guys want to invite anyone, because CV writing is something that has been asked from me time and again. Because it creates your first impression. And as you already know, first impression is the last impression. You guys must have heard about it. And if that first impression is not right, obviously फिर आपके interview chances में to get the interview call to succeed, it makes a difference. And that's why it's more important that you guys bring your CV, just keep it in front of you, and just ensure whatever we discuss, whatever Tahir Bhai, so Tahir Bhai is here. I just saw his message. Whatever we discuss, whatever teachings we get, you write it down, you make the changes, and you try to make it as good as possible because that will help you in your career. So with me, obviously there is Tahir Bhai. I've shared his profile before, but given his stature, I'll do it again. He's a CV guru. He's a behavioral interviewing skills guru. He's a great coach, and he's been doing this for the past 25, 30 years, and he's been doing it all across Europe and Asia, especially in Pakistan and UK. So we have him here, and I'm really proud that I've gotten him here. It's a big achievement for me as well, because I think 2 saal pehle I attended his and since then podcast I've been listening to his videos, and it's just great to have him here. So I'll just take him live. Assalamualaikum Tahir bhai.
Walaikum salam. How are you, Umar?
I'm good. I'm good. Just 3 minutes above time. I was giving an intro, just trying to get people together.
Yeah, we must learn it. I could hear you, so it's good.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I was just looking forward to this session. I think people have asked me about this session more than any other session, honestly, because they've been like, we have to make the perfect CV, and especially after our last session, they're like, we have to interact with Tahir Bhai again, and the way it was a great feedback for our last webinar as well. So I'm thankful to you for taking out time. I know it's a big deal for me, and I'm sure it's a big for the others as well.
I'm honored that you invited me, and it's an honor to be able to share practical information which will actually really help and make a difference. ये बहुत important चीज है, और CV writing का, as you know, it's an art, and there are many difference of opinions on CVs, depending on which country you live in, depending on which company you work for, what profession you are in. So yeah, they're both badi cheez hai, and we're going to try our best today to give at least best practices kya hai. And then obviously based on your profession, based on your country, based on your level, then you need to obviously go and do your own research. But we'll give as much information we can in the time we have.
Okay, great. So I think without further ado, so the way I think this session can go as smoothly as possible is that I have some things in mind that I wanted to share with these people. But again, that is based on my experience. and I'm sure there's an expert opinion on it that I'll also take from you. But these are the same things that I've learned over the years, and I'll just go talk about them one by one. And if there's anything that I've left, you have the floor, and you can say whatever you, the expert opinion that you just start with that. Is that fine, Tarvik?
बिल्कुल ठीक है. Whatever you say, and then I'll give my expert opinion. Not only my own opinion, I'll share with you the opinions of people who look at CVs as part of their job as well, which is about a good 15 to 20,000 managers who I've interacted with. So my perspective is not only from my own experience as a CV writer, it's also based on feedback I have received from different managers and in different countries.
So we have Tahir Bhai over here who will share his experience with managers that he's interacted with, and the number that he's given is 10 to 15,000. So I'm really happy that I'm having this. I'll record this and I'll look at this session and again and again. Okay.
Right,
So the
20,
first
20
there's 7 things that I've actually uploaded a video earlier on 20,000.
probably more.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying there's a video that I've uploaded earlier on YouTube about CV writing skills that was also based on my own experience. So I identified 7 things that I feel जो भी template हो, it's up to the people. And template is again a very it's a very important topic when you talk about CV writing, because everyone starts with what kind of format or template do we have to use for this. So Taibai, for personally for me, I use a very simplistic template in which my education, my objective, a one-liner or two-liner, if I have any strong objective, if I have an objective, just to make it clear for the person who's viewing it what actually I'm seeking. My education, starting from my master's, bachelor's, and A or O levels. Many people say that it's not important to put O and A levels or metric or inter, whatever education you've done. But I say that's important because when because I've seen working in HR, when the interviewer is looking at CV, they're also trying to gauge the background. So what background the person is from, and because it's a judgment that they're trying to make. CV, based on the CV, they make a specific judgment, and based on that judgment, they decide, okay, we want to go ahead or not. And your education is a part of it. I'm not saying based on your education, people will reject, or it gives them an idea of what background you are from and what are they looking for. And after that, I go on to write my most recent experience, and then the experiences that I've had. Since I have to limit it to one page, now I take it to 1.5 or 2 pages based on my experience that I have had. But I try to till 2 years back, I had to restrict it to one page because I didn't have enough things to put. So I removed my
Okay.
internships. I put my professional experience, and most importantly, I put my skills and interests and hobbies, and then that was the end of it. That's the template that I follow. Very simplistic, no colors, no picture. But this is something very important for people. They don't. Everyone has a different format. Every university gives a different template, and then it's a difference in opinion. So what do you recommend? This is what I do, but I also need to know what do you recommend is the right format. Do Because I don't think personally pictures as HR, I don't think it's professional to put pictures. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. पहली चीज ये है, let's take 2 steps back. Okay. CV का मकसद क्या है? आप बताओ.
To give a background, to give an idea to the person,
Okay.
to give your profile.
CV का ultimate मकसद ये है is to get an interview. Okay. CV is your first impression. CV is basically your marketing tool. Okay. It is used as a tool to say, yes, we want to interview them, or yes, or sorry, or we do not want to interview them. So ये बहुत important tool है. Okay. दूसरी चीज ये, what is a CV? Again, let's go another step back. CV is basically a Latin word, okay, and it's short for curriculum vitae, which means story of one's life. And as you know, in many countries, they also use the word resume. Resume is a French word and it means summary. Like in Pakistan, if we're talking about Pakistan specifically for the audience who are connected from Pakistan, resume and CV is typically the same thing. All right. But if you look at definition, the difference is the detail. That's the first thing I want to say. Regarding format, I think that's a little bit heavy at this stage. I think if I would suggest to you is to first talk about best practice kya hai, recruiters kya pasand karte hain, kya nahi pasand karte hain, and then after you've gone through all the detail, then give the format. Otherwise, giving format now can maybe be confusing for a lot of people. And I think also you need to be clear. You're talking from an experienced perspective person, or you're talking from a graduate perspective. So let's also be clear when we're talking, because the CVs are different. A graduate CV has different style, and a professional CV has a different style. I mean, it's not a major difference, but there are differences in the content. So you also need to be clear on that as well.
Okay, so we can probably talk about the format by the end.
Yeah, let's talk about in your perspective, why do recruiters typically reject CVs? So let's get that clear so everybody understands. So Apato, being a HR person.
So over the past 6 years, having worked in HR, the CVs, I've worked through a lot of CVs, I've received a lot of CVs, and the major reason that we reject the CV is the kind of information. First is the information that is given in the top half. So what I mean by that is, so if I'm looking for relevant positions, for example, is a position for HR manager, and there's a person who has sent me a standard CV that he or she is sending it everywhere, and the relevant experience is not there. We just reject it because we have 1,000 or 1,500 CVs. We want to be sure wherever we are going is a person who is relevant. Because on certain position, let's say if you talk about Engro, I've seen 5,000 to 6,000 applicants as well. Now we have LinkedIn, so we apply the filters and we know which person is applying and if he or she has relevant background or not. The artificial intelligence, they filter it. But previously we used to, I'm talking about other companies which probably they don't use LinkedIn. So that's what I'm sure their HR people also do. And secondly, the way that they send their CV. So people think that sending a CV on a LinkedIn message, sending a CV on anyone's email in the company, and not sending the CV to the email address assigned is the right way to go about it. And then they say we haven't heard back. That's not the right way. There's a procedure that companies go through. There's an email address. There's a portal. And if you want a reference or if you want someone to back you up, that's fine. But you have to go through the process. So these are some things that we see. And obviously there are other things as well. But these are the main things. Relevance. If you don't see relevance, and even in the first 5-10 seconds, we don't go ahead with CV.
Okay. So let me just further add to your list. Thank you very much, Umar. So typically, why do CVs get rejected? So the reasons are quite similar, whether you're a graduate or whether you're an experienced professional. Number one, lack of achievements. Okay? Lack of achievements. Now, you may be wondering as a student, how do I prove that? Well, we'll talk about this after. At the moment, let's just get the facts. Vanity is a lack of achievements. Number two, the CV is ugly. Cosmetically ugly, weak. Okay? So again, just write these down. Spelling and grammar. Yes. ये ना सोचो पाकिस्तान में बैठे या बांग्लादेश में बैठे हैं ये तो वो spelling and grammar matters irrespective of where you are. And again, some positions, some companies are stricter than others. A lot of the CVs has irrelevant information. It has either sometimes too much information and the CV goes too long, or does not have enough information. Okay, that's another reason why CVs get rejected. एक और चीज ये है जो ऊपर वाला जो पार्ट है जो प्रोफाइल होता है. A lot of these profiles are typically cut and paste, and they're not specific. That's another reason why some CVs get rejected. Another reason why CVs get rejected is a lack of skills. It's not actually being emphasized and proven. These are the classic reasons why a lot of CVs get rejected. All right. And also for experienced person, I'm warning you now, for those who are experienced listening, a lot of the CVs I have seen and I write, when I initially receive them, they cut and paste. लोग क्या करते हैं, वो basically उनका job description को cut and paste करते हैं within the CV. That doesn't tell me anything as a recruiter. It doesn't say to me you've done it. And even if you have done it, you've not actually told me specifically what was the outcome, what was the result, आपने actually क्या किया. But this is another primary reason why a lot of CVs get rejected, especially for more experienced people. And yes, let's be honest, there are some companies who might reject your CV because of maybe your grades for those graduates. And by the way, education is more important for when you're fresh, and the more experienced you become, your experience becomes more important. Your experience becomes more important. So your education, you normally find, is lower down on your CV, and you're a graduate out there, or someone who's been around for a couple of years, maybe working, their education is near the top. So I just want to, so they are the biggest issues most companies find, and they reject CVs. Over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I wanted to add on that the in Pakistan that based on university, a lot of CVs get rejected. So there's a simple answer for them, especially when you talk about multinational or top 5 or 10 or 20 companies in Pakistan. So ऐसा नहीं होता कि बस यूनिवर्सिटी देखी और फॉरेन बंदे को रिजेक्ट कर दिया. Probably this used to happen in the past, but now since we have artificial intelligence to filter out CVs, बहुत सारा काम आसान भी हो गया to filter CVs and to get the required CVs. So once we have that, the relevant experience is also seen. If there is a person who is from lumps, for example, and he has to fill a position of an admin manager, for example, and if he doesn't have the required experience, and if there's a person who's, let's say, for example, from Zabist or Beria University or Karachi University, and if he has the required experience and with the interview CV, he will be shortlisted and he will be hired for the, because at the end of the day what matters is कि job पूरी हो जाए. So आप लोग ये मत सोचा करें कि definitely there must be some. For example, I can say for sure that consultancies, they look for specific universities to hire people, but that's not the right notion. That and then you know that there are 5,000 to 6,000 graduates every year, and the limited companies and there are limited jobs. So definitely they go for the top tier universities first, but that doesn't mean the other university students are not hired. So आप एक लोगों को ये perception है कि based on our university हम वैसे ही reject हो जाते हैं. That's not true. Based on your experience and again your first impression, like Tahir said, your profiling comes through your CV first, and if that's not right, there are chances कि आप आगे process में कभी गए ही नहीं थे. Yeah. And again, these are, I think Tahir was right, this is the most important thing to discuss, why CVs get rejected, so we know what we have to write and what we don't have to write. Secondly, Tahir, there's one more thing that people keep asking, 1 page or 2 pages? Simple.
Yeah,
or 3 pages.
okay.
There's some CVs जो कि 10 pages.
Okay. देखो, एक graduate होता है. I have 28 years experience. I can get my CV onto 2 pages. Now you may be wondering how. Okay, it's quite simple. Obviously, when I'm writing my CV, I will target specifically for certain positions I'm applying for or assignments. So I will only give enough information which obviously is attractive to the reader. I won't be writing things that I did when I was at school, okay, or when I was at college. Even early on in my career, people have no interest in that. They're more interested in, normally, typically for experienced people, they're more interested in the last job or the one before that, typically. All right. So obviously I would tailor my content based on what the company is looking for. पहली चीज ये, एक graduate है. It can be 1 page. It can even go to 2 pages. लेकिन 2 से ऊपर नहीं होना चाहिए. 99.99% of companies prefer the CV no more than 2 pages, especially for a graduate. Now, for an experienced person, again, it depends also on the profession and the country. Germany, they will accept more than 2 pages. Scandinavia, they will expect more than 2 pages. UK, typically 2 is a maximum. Spain is 2 the maximum generally. Okay? Even UAE, Dubai, Qatar, these countries, they normally prefer 2 pages as a general rule. There's always an exception. We're talking the general rule kya hai. All right, but most CV writers, you also ask them 1 to 2 pages wo kehte hain. So for graduates, typically up to 2 pages maximum. 1 bhi ho sakta hai. An experienced person, again, 2 pages, unless, of course, they're asking for more information, the company wants specifically more data. Then, Bashak, it can go to 3. Of course it can. I hope that's clear.
So you're saying for a very experienced professional, it can go up to 3?
Potentially.
Potentially. Okay.
However, saying that, I specifically, whenever I write CVs, I get it onto 2 pages. I personally have 2 pages. I get it onto 2 pages. Okay? And I advise all my clients to go for no more than 2 pages. Because dekho, aapko pata hai on average kitna time the naked eye looks at a CV at the initial stage? Have you any idea? On average?
6 seconds, 10 seconds?
Okay, at the initial scanning stage, some people even spend 3 seconds. Some people spend half a minute. If you talk about Pakistan specifically, as a lot of people are from there, 1 to 2 minutes. And I've done research on this, 1 to 2 minutes on average. Some people may spend more, but generally 1 to 2 minutes on average. Now, if you've got 4, 5, 6 pages, I'm sorry, your CV is going in a dustbin. Or if you don't have enough information, your CV is going in a dustbin. That's the reality. And there are other reasons why your CV would go in a dustbin, which we discussed earlier on: spelling, grammar, cut and paste. Okay, the cosmetically not appealing. Okay, these are all those reasons we shared about why CVs get rejected, is why CVs go in the dustbin.
Great. Tawid, another thing which I personally feel when I'm looking at a CV as an HR professional, or when I write my CV and I submit it anywhere for any application, I prefer talking about my achievements in numbers. Why numbers? Because it's very easy to say that, for example, I launched 3 trainings last year in my company. And it's very different to how, if I say, launched 3 trainings for 700 employees with 20 million of budget. So I try to push people to use numbers, and I do the same. The reason being, it's very important to show in your role, in your specific role, in my role, how I've created impact while I was working in a certain position. So what do you think about that? Is it the right approach, or it's...
Yeah. I think, Omar, you've just said something very important. Dekho, at the end of the day, even if you're working for a charity, a non-profit organization, everybody wants performance. Whether you're working at Engro, Pfizer, National Foods, ICI, Jazz, Ufone, Telenor, okay? All these bigger, UEP, Midas, it doesn't matter where you're working. Everybody wants performance. I remember about 3 weeks ago, I was doing some voluntary work with this chief commercial officer of Jazz. Asif Aziz is his name. We were doing voluntary work with a bunch of young children, young students, and he said it straight: I'm looking for performance. If you perform, you're safe. Your job is generally safe if you perform. So when you're writing your CV, demonstrate your performance through numbers, through figures. Talking about people who've worked, obviously, right? But you can also demonstrate performance also in university, which we'll go into detail in a second. So performance is the key, and how you made a difference. That's why I tell everybody, cut and paste job descriptions does not imply performance at all. Claiming you have even studied, and that's all you did, does not prove performance. For a student, for example, you need to be an all-rounder, okay? You need to have certain skills. You need to imply that you have certain skill set where you can actually deliver. Again, we'll go into content in a short while, but performance is critical. And as you know, in your organization now, your new performance management systems is all about performance. If you don't perform, it's bye-bye.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's well known for Engro and any other multinational or top tier companies in Pakistan. Similarly, wherever you go into globally, it's all about performance in the end. And like Tarbhai said, if an interviewer, if HR person is looking at it for 5 or 10 seconds and they don't get to see the impact or the numbers, and if there's a person who has shown it properly, there's a higher chance that they'll take the risk on that person. Because hiring a person in a company is a big task. It's just like hiring a family member. Because, for example, I can say about Engro, because if you are hiring someone, you don't hire with the sense that, okay, if they don't work, we'll probably ask them to leave. We hire them with the sense that we have to give our best effort and get the best person. And that's how the procedure goes. And then we ensure that the person works and is provided the right environment. So yeah, performance is important. Another thing, Tarvai, like you mentioned in the beginning, I forgot this point. Why CVs get rejected? Same CV for any position that shows up in Engro. I've seen similar CVs for the same for different job roles. So, for example, there was an HR manager position. I got a CV. That person must have worked in HR in the past. But okay, fine. They had this experience 2 years back. They were working in a different role right now. But then there was another position open at that point. That was for, I think, admin manager or logistics manager, something. They sent the same CV over there as well. And that person was technically good because I went through the CV and I knew the person. The only problem was that he was sending the same CV again and again. So actually the HR person had to go through the CV to understand, okay, where is he being relevant? So so what I try to do is, if I apply anywhere, or if people ask me how to get into Engro, or how do we send the CV, so whenever there is a job position, just go through the JD, just to go through the KPIs that are required from that position, and try to see if you've done that in your life. First of all, if you've done that, try to put that in your CV with numbers. Okay, I did, for example, there's a training and OD manager position, and if you've done that, so try to think, okay, I did that in XYZ company. This is what I did. This is the impact that it created, and put it right there. So if I see your CV, I should know that this person is very relevant because this person has done it, compared to a person who has done it but has just forwarded the CV. और वो कहीं पर है तो ढूंढ लो.
Yes.
And that's why CV. What do you think, Tarvai?
Yeah. So basically, now you're giving the solution, right, of what is a good practice. That's what you were doing. Yeah, get it out. Okay. So if we go on that specific, one of the solutions is your CV should be tailored for the position. So, for example, let's say you're going for a HR position, and within HR, they're wanting you to have, for example, some exposure to recruitment, to training, to development, to OD, to operations, whatever. Well, hopefully common sense will tell you that if you have that experience, you should write it down on your CV. Okay? This is called tailoring your CV. Tailoring. Just like your clothing, as you noticed, changes according to, for example, the occasion. When you go to sleep, you wear different clothes. When you go to a wedding, you wear different clothes. When you go to work, you wear different clothes. When you do exercise, you wear different clothes. Not all one size fits all. So your TV should be tailored for the position you're applying for. And we're talking about content here, right? Layout de wo hai. The layout is the same, but the content is what makes the difference. I hope that answers your question.
Definitely it does. So point is, it should be tailored to the job requirements.
Yes.
rather than just forwarding, having one CV and then forwarding it.
Yes.
Okay. Another thing, there's a question, and it's a question that I also think, and I don't have the answer for this honestly. Uh, how important are cover letters with the CV?
Acha, that's a very good question. And the interesting thing is, less and less companies are asking for cover letters now. Your many note here. If you look at a lot of job adverts, a lot of companies don't ask for cover letters now. बहुत कम लोग हैं. अक्सर होता क्या है? Nowadays, the trend is people look at people's LinkedIn profiles. Uske baad, then they start asking for your CVs. It's almost like the CVs, the profiles, the LinkedIn profiles become the cover letter. If they like what they see, or if they can find key information from the profile, then they request your CV, which is traditionally what used to happen. Was people would ask for a cover letter, read the cover letter. If the cover letter was inspiring or relevant and it sort of created interest, then they would read your CV. So it's almost like the LinkedIn profiles become the cover letter. Many बहुत कम companies देखा who request cover letters nowadays.
Yeah, because people are normally asking for formats for cover letters, and I personally have never asked for cover letters from people applying, let's say, to Engro or any other organization, and I haven't sent a cover letter because now it's so digitized. If someone wants to consider me, they can just go on my LinkedIn profile and then just see if the person fits or not. It's as simple as that now. Now people are hiring, now organizations are hiring through LinkedIn. So they can literally write a position, and they can put filters. Okay, we want a person with 0 to 3 years of experience. We want a person from Karachi. We want a person with
Yes.
banking background or energy background, and they will have the options. So
Yes.
that's
Exactly. And also LinkedIn is very important as well. How you write your LinkedIn profile, that's maybe something else we can talk on another day. ये भी बहुत important चीज है as an initial filter. All right, very, very important. How filter systems pick up key information from which part of your LinkedIn profile. Maybe I can rope in a LinkedIn expert for you. I mean, I can talk about it, but I can get someone who knows it 10 times more than me. I can rope someone in for you, inshallah, next time.
definitely, that would be great for people, because they've asked again and again about LinkedIn as well. So a lot of people in Pakistan, for me, I've been working on my LinkedIn for the past 5-6 years actually. But a lot of people, they don't realize the importance of LinkedIn in today's world. A lot of people, like for example, Tahir Bhai I've met because I've worked with him before and we are friends. But a lot of people that I discuss my ideas with, discuss my concepts with, a lot of people who approach me, for example, for job things, it's mostly via LinkedIn. And that's what I tell people, the CV that we're talking, obviously it matters because in the end, a PDF document matters in your inbox and you have to see it. But LinkedIn is very important. Maybe we can do a session on that later.
Yes, definitely.
Cheap. Taiwan, another thing. This is something that I write, and I ensure that this is there in the CV because skills and interests of a person. A lot of people ignore this part. They focus on internships, they focus on experience, they focus on education, and may copy paste. They just write, for example, yes, love to travel, love to read books. That's it. I
Okay.
ensure that I write, for example, if I do social work, then I write that I have done 10 crowdfunding campaigns and I've collected this much. This is
Yes.
my hobby. And if I'm active on LinkedIn, then I write I have LinkedIn with this much following and I do this. Because, for example, if I love to go to the gym, I write that this is an interest. Personally, for me, this is important because in every interview, I love to see the human side of the person. Okay, what else do you do? Okay, fine, you can work. But as you already know, in our new performance management system as well, in Engro, the softer side matters a lot to us. And in the softer side, there are different leadership competencies, but there also if the person can do anything apart from these things as well. So, for example, if I am a great gymmer, that means probably I have discipline in life because it's not easy to maintain a good physique. You have to have discipline. If I've been a captain of sports, a cricket team in my university or in a regional tournament or anything, that shows that I'm good at a skill, and probably because of it, like any other sport, it requires skill, discipline, perseverance, and
Right.
ability to take ability to handle crisis. So, what do you think about that? How important it is
Yeah,
for
that's a
people?
fantastic. It's a question which I often get asked, and in fact, I did do a survey not long ago. You find most. Let's talk about graduates first. So, my freshy brothers and sisters, wherever you're sitting, if you've done nothing during your time at university, I'm sorry, it's bad news for you. Simple as that. If you were sitting down all day eating samosa pakodi in the canteen, talking to your friends, playing on Facebook, well, that's not going to show you in a positive light when you're applying for work. However, if you were active in societies, if you were active in sports, maybe you was a captain of a sports team, maybe you're a captain of a society, or you're active in projects, all right? If you basically generated money through voluntary work, or you've helped people, all these things will show you in a positive way. And in fact, a lot of companies now, as in Engro, for example, because I'm involved in voluntary work with them as well, and a lot of other good companies, they actually do a lot of voluntary work. So they're looking for people who are inclined to do these activities. They're looking for the friendly, the human touch, who can make a difference. So all of you, for those who are still studying, I strongly urge you to get involved in activities which start developing key skills, leadership skills, presentation skills, working under pressure, working in teams. All these things matter. And in fact, these skills also matter even if you're an experienced person, because a lot of experienced people you find also are involved in extracurricular activities. And a lot of people I know, my friends, they do a lot of cycling.
Hmm.
A lot of cycling. So they keep fit. They do exercise. They go to the gym regularly. So if you are going to the gym, state how often you go. If you are playing sports, mention that you're active. You're doing it regularly. A lot of people are traveling, football, cricket, and as you know, when you do the interview, you find out they watch it. I've even had some people mention they do mountain climbing, and when you question them, what mountains have you climbed? Oh, I've been to Margala Hills, if you're familiar with the north. And there are some people, graduates, for example, who say they've been to K2 side, that area, those areas, Nanga Parbat, Berry Meadows. So whatever you state, make sure it's adding value. That's the key word. It's adding value. It's showing you, okay? It's showing that you already have key skills which are required for the position. Those are the kind of things you find companies will be interested in whenever you talk about your hobbies and interests. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely it does. And yeah, especially for I can say about Engro and then a couple of other companies as well. This is very important, especially for graduate students as well, because they keep asking, we don't have any experience to show like professionals. So we
Right.
can't say that, for example, we did this project and it created this much impact. But I tell them, so for example, when I was in my university, I was was an executive council of Dramatic Society. Even being in that society, I was handling 70, 80 people for an event, which was Pakistan's largest drama festival. And then I went abroad to perform and to represent Pakistan. You know, this goes on and on. So I had something to show. Like I'm doing the same things in my office now. I'm handling teams, I'm handling pressure, I'm handling crisis, I'm managing budgets. And this is the
Mhm.
same thing that you do in societies. But people don't write
Yes.
this.
Yes. Very, very important to. So let's be clear. You find your experience out there, like yourself and myself, our content is coming from our work experience, right? A graduate, their work, their experience, or their what they have done is coming through their projects, is coming through extracurricular activities, is coming through internships, is going through voluntary work, through their education, through sports. So the difference is that your experience is coming from a different area, but you do have it. Obviously, if you have the skill set and you have developed the skill set, then What's stopping you from writing it? And that is what companies are interested in, not only your grades. There's a misconception here, grade, which is you can talk about that a bit more, but most companies now, a lot of companies now are accepting slightly lower grades now, but they're looking for an all-rounder, all-rounders. If you're an all-rounder, you've got more chance of getting a position than someone who's got a very high grade and has got no other substance around them.
Great. And that brings to my question that I asked in the beginning about the format, because people are also asking now, what is the sequence or what is the format? And this is the favorite question that people ask. How do we put our CV? What is the format that we follow?
Okay.
And we need your expert opinion on it.
Therefore, if you go online and you type in graduate CVs, there'll be many templates. I don't know why people struggle understanding about the format. There are so many templates online. It beggars belief. And if you look closely, they're not that different. It's just maybe the order is slightly different. So, therefore, I'm going to say this quickly, and you better go do your own research. I'm going to give you a suggested template. Okay, is everyone ready? A suggested template. Right, here we go. Name, and this is off the top of my head, okay? Name, contact details. You don't have to write your home address, to be honest, the exact address. This is a misconception. You can just write your city if you want. I just thought I'd just share that with you, okay? But at least, as long as you write your city where you are basically residing, your phone number or your telephone number, your mobile number, and your email address. Now listen carefully, email address. I just want to address this very quickly. Some CVs I still read and I see people writing immature email addresses. So let's be clear.
Great.
All right. I mean, we can make jokes about this all day long. But make sure your email address is ideally your name and then gmail.com, hotmail.com, or whatever you're using. Okay. Yeah. Again, that's another topic about comedy emails addresses. But after that, underneath that, you have a profile. Profile में क्या लिखना है? There are 3 steps to the profile. Remember this. I was writing this down just to remind myself. And again, this profile is your elevator pitch. So remember, what is an elevator pitch? Can you remind everybody? Elevator pitch क्या होता है?
Pitching yourself.
All right. So this 2 to 3 lines is your pitch. If it's of interest, you find people will start reading more of your CV. So who you are, number 1. What areas of expertise do you have to offer, number 2. And there are, especially for a graduate, for example, they'll also mention what type of work they're looking for. These are the 3 steps, okay? So who you are, so if you're a graduate of a certain study or certain academic, you mention that. What expertise or what areas of speciality, what skills have you developed? You can mention those. And what you are looking for, your career, your vision, ultimately. These are the 3 common steps you find in a good elevator pitch on a CV. All right? And obviously, in what you are looking for, you can also mention, how you will be of value to the organization. It's not just about you here. What you are looking for also has to be of interest to the company, right? You're applying for. Make sense? So your details, your profile, right. The next step is basically there are 2 opinions. One opinion says you put your education, or some people, they write a key skills. So it doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. Whether you want to put your education now, and then you mention your degree, you mention for graduates now, you mention your schooling as well. Okay, not your primary years, but certainly your O levels, your A levels, and up to your degree and masters. Again, the more senior you become, then this information becomes less and less important. You may just mention your masters after 10, 15, 20 years. Then you mention the subject, you mention your primary subjects, and don't mention all your subjects. Mention those subjects which will be relevant to the position you're applying for. So if you're from I don't know, you're looking for a job in mechanical engineering, then you mention those key modules which you know are related to mechanical engineering. If you're applying to a position for HR, mention those modules that you studied which are relevant, obviously, to the HR position you're applying for. That makes sense? Now, do you mention a grade? Well, there's a difference of opinion here. Some people say yes if it's really good. Some people say avoid if it's really low. What is good? What is low? Every company has a different benchmark. And you can talk more about that maybe a little bit later. But let me just give the framework first. So, name, personal details, professional profile. Okay? And in that profile will be your objective, your education. So in education, you mentioned the dates, where you studied, okay, and the location and the subjects. Is that clear? The next part is the hardest part. 99% of CVs I have observed cannot do the next part. The key skills profile. Now, what is this? For graduates, I'm talking about. So, for example, you know the company is looking for team working, leadership, planning and organization, decision-making, or analytical, whatever skills. You mention those 4 or 5 skills or 3 to 4 skills, and under each skill, you give 1 or 2 pieces of evidence to demonstrate you have that skill. So as you said, so let's say, for example, you're a student. Again, let's talk about students for now, because since we're on the topic of students. You're looking for, in your company, you're looking for someone who's got experience of leadership potential. As we know, the Engro always looking for potential leaders, okay? How as a student can you demonstrate that? Can you share anyone? Can you share with the audience?
How, as a student or as the HR professional?
Let's talk about, you're a student. How would you demonstrate that to someone like you as a hiring manager?
So as a student, if I have to write in my CV, in the key skills section, I'll be specific about teamwork. I'll be specific about communication skills. I'll be specific about leadership skills. Let's say these 3 skills that I shortlist based on what my research says the company wants. So now I work in Engro, I know what Engro wants. Talking to P&G, I'll go to their website, I'll talk to people, and I'll be like, what exactly are these people looking for? And if they say, we want team workers, we want ethical people, well, ethics is not competency per se, it's a value, but we want team workers, we want leaders, we want good communicators. I write that, and then I let the interviewer ask me, or I leave that for the interview to describe how I exhibit these skills. I don't need to write.
Okay, Omer, one second. How would you prove to someone in written format that you have actually got leadership qualities or leadership skills? Give me an example.
So like I mentioned earlier, if I'm talking about having leadership skills, I'll talk about the work that I've done in that one line. For example,
tell me the one line.
So handled a team of 80 to organize the largest drama festival in Pakistan, Lums.
Okay.
So this is when it comes to leadership, I focused on handling 80 people, and then
What was the outcome of you handling those 80 people? What was the outcome of that event?
The outcome is the event being successful with around 2,000 plus audience in number of 3 days, which is the biggest that my event had seen. And the profit that the society earned because of the event, and image and the brand value that it added to Lums, my university, or the society.
Okay, so that's how you do it. You state what you did, and then you state the outcome. That's how you write your evidence, and this is like almost like an achievement. You led this many people and and then actually as a result of you leading those people and that function, the image improved, we made this much money, this was the outcome. Outcomes are critical whenever you're making claims, okay? Because this also implies performance. So for a student, this also shows performance at this stage. And by the way, if you're an experienced person listening, this is exactly how you would also write. You'd give evidence of your claims. So if you're an experienced person, you claim you've got leadership skills, well, prove it. Prove it. So you would actually document, where you've demonstrated leadership skills, how you've led your teams, how you've got performance from your teams, and you can even stipulate numbers then, how you've generated income from your teams, how you've managed in a certain way and you've saved money. So that would be more for an experienced person. So once you've written your 4 or 5 key skills, or 3 to 4, whatever, however many, with evidence under each one, then you move on to the next section, which typically can vary now. So some people, graduate, you can have a heading called work experience or internship experience. So underneath there, you just summarize what you have done. Okay, you give a quick summary of what you have done. All right? Very important. Once you've done that, so again, you stipulate where you worked, what was the date, so date, company, what you did. Okay, simple, keep it simple. Your main area of interest to the employer as a student is your key skills and your education. For an experienced person, your main interest to an employer is your skills as well, but performance, okay? And sometimes where you have worked. A student internships are not that important where you necessarily, but certainly what you develop during your internships is of more importance to an employer. So remind me, go me through the steps. What have I said so far?
So it's the title, the address, the education, and then key skills.
So before it, so we got the name, you got contact details, your profile.
Contact details, profile, and then education.
That's right.
And then your key skills.
Okay, and then
you move towards your experience.
Yeah, your experience.
Past experience.
That's right. After that, you could do, there's various things you could do. Again, whatever you write now has to add value. So hobbies and interests, IT skills. Maybe you have won some awards. Okay. All right, it's a classic information. Some people, they like to write extra things. I don't know whether I should mention it now, but I think I should. A lot of people, you see, they like to write more information now at the bottom after this. And also, if you've done any trainings or any extra courses, you could also mention those. For example, there's people in this list now who've sat through the presentation skills we did yesterday. They're doing CV writing. Tomorrow, you've got the famous Farhad Karamani doing conflict management with you. So if someone has been through these, mention this on your CV. It shows you are inclined to learning. It shows you are proactive. It shows you are not lazy. Okay, it shows you're always trying to mentally stimulate yourself. These are good traits for a graduate. Very good traits. I've noticed some questions on the side. Some people have mentioned picture. You know, I mean, in the West, this dialogue would be different because companies are not allowed to ask for pictures before an interview. Unless, of course, people are going for a modeling position, for example, where that's necessary. But certainly in the subcontinent, in the Pakistan, in India, and Bangladesh, and these countries, surrounding countries, a lot of people ask these questions. Should I send a picture? What do you think?
I personally don't think people should send a picture, and I don't expect. I think it just creates a bias. I don't know.
Well, if I share with you I'll share with you a reality. Okay. I ask this question to a lot of managers during my training sessions, straight to their face. Why do you ask for a picture? Some are hesitant to reply, but once I keep probing, they say it straight. It gives me an idea of their personality. Now, The word personality in the subcontinent is not referring to, you know, their characteristics. They're talking about if they're physically attractive. So obviously, if you send a picture, it creates bias, which is why it's not permissible in the West to ask for pictures, because it creates bias and discrimination, potentially could kick in. So I tell everyone in Pakistan and these countries is do not send a picture unless the company stipulates we want to see a picture. Then that's different. Then you have no choice because they're demanding it. But as a general rule, you do not send a picture. Okay.
And in the West, you're saying it's not permissible because it kicks.
It's illegal to ask for a picture because it can be used as a discrimination tool. And you can find candidates can actually say, look, I was well qualified, but you did not interview me because of discrimination. They can actually use that as a way of saying, you know, I'm going to take this further. So companies do not ask for pictures. So right at the end, so when you write your awards, hobbies and interests, IT skills, extracurricular activities, that's it. And then right at the bottom, you find people will mention references. Now, what do we mean by references? Sorry, my pen just dropped. Hold on. What do we mean by references? So standard practice now is worldwide. Most people will just mention references available on request. But people used to write the names of their previous employers or their academic references. Unless, of course, someone specifically says, we want a name of your teacher, or we want a name of a previous employer or something. That's different. But most people just mention references available on request. So that is a suggested format. There you go. It's a suggested format for you.
All right, great. Yeah, so I had these things in mind that I just mentioned in the past hour. If I can just summarize, if CV, what are the reasons why CVs are rejected, and then we talked about if the CV should be a page or 2-page long. What's the format that should be there? We should talk, and how we should talk in numbers to show the impact. How editing the CV or tailoring the CV as per job requirements is important. How the skills and interest section is really important. It shows the human side of you. And obviously, we talked about the picture in the end, if it's permissible or if it's advisable or not. I think we have some time, and before we go to the questions, have anything that I missed and you wanted to add?
Yeah, many. I've just written some things. I just want to reiterate some of the things. We've not really talked about in terms of the fonts and the way it's written in that sense. We've talked about a format. Looking, whatever happens, it should be easy to read and easy to follow. Bold headings, easy to read fonts, scalable fonts like Arial, Roman, Calibri, Verdana. Okay, but obviously the text can't be too small so no one can read it. Okay, has to be easy to read. So typically 11 is a good size. If using Arial 10 is also a good size. So it all depends on the font. Clear headings, bold headings, bold your dates, bold where you work, bold where you studied. Make it easy for the person to follow. I just want to add that in as well. Okay. A lot of people asking, I noticed on the right, and also a lot of people ask me, should we use color on this? Should we use color on a CV? The professional color is black and white. Simple as that. Black and white. But obviously, if the content is relevant, if it's easy to follow, you're using good, clear headings, you're using bullet points, then this is of more interest. The professional element of the CV is of primary interest to the recruiter. A lot of times I've seen a lot of CVs they start using colors, graphs. They're using to show how strong they are in a certain skill. They're using different circles and then coloring them. This is very confusing and difficult to follow. Okay, I'm warning you now, whether you're skilled or whether you are experienced or you're a graduate. Okay, that's what I want you to add. Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. One other thing, whenever you send your CV, send it in PDF format.
Oh yeah.
जब आप email करते हैं ना, write in PDF format, and also in the header, in the subject line, mention exactly what position you are applying for. Imagine companies get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CVs. And if they don't know what you're applying for, it becomes difficult. पहली चीज़ ये है. दूसरी चीज़ ये है, why should you send PDF? Because if you send it in a Word format, sometimes what happens is the other person on the other line, when they open it up, they may not have certain fonts you've used, and therefore they have strange characters coming up. And sometimes it's not aligned as well. Okay. Someone just asked how many pages. I thought we've discussed it indeed. Okay. Maybe just join now.
I think they join later, yeah.
Chalo. All right. That's it. Okay. Another thing I like to mention is a lot of people ask me, should they mention? Sorry, a lot of CVs. I have seen people write their religion, they write their marital status. कोई लोग भी लिखते हैं, कोई लोग ये भी लिखते हैं. Their father's name. I'm talking about specifically Pakistan now. Father's name, their NICOP numbers. They start writing all these extra bit of information. This is not necessary, and just wasting space. Unless, of course, again, you're being asked. And the only people that generally ask you for that type of information is typically government jobs and maybe potentially some NGOs. Otherwise, nobody asks for this information. So I just wanted to add that in as well. This is something I hope people realize. ये जो information है कोई ज़रूर has no value. What about age? Chalo, I'm just quickly reading. I think Umar has just gone off. Again, at the age, you don't have to write your age. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. I'm just reading some of the questions now, because I think, unless you want to read them, because I've got bad eyesight. Barona, and then you ask me, or you try to address them.
I'm just trying to settle the connection over here. Yeah, but we have a lot of questions.
There's a million questions.
Yeah, they've been asking for the past hour. Let's try to answer them as much we can. Okay, what about age? I think
is it
advisable to write age?
Dekho, if you're talking about our friends back in Pakistan, okay, if you want to write your age, then you write it down. It's not gonna lose.
Because I know a friend who applied for jobs, but he never mentioned it in his CV, and eventually ended up getting the job as well, because he did this thing, and eventually he's getting over it as well. But the point being, he didn't mention it, and if it's a good organization, I can speak about Engro. It doesn't impact you when you getting the job. It's actually, there's a law for it as well. You can't discriminate, or you can't tell anyone off based on any biological or any.
Deco, there's a fine line between lying and omitting information. If someone asks you specifically, are you disabled, and on the CV, for example, they're asking you before and mention it in your CV, and you say no, and you are, that's lying.
Yeah.
If you do not mention anything, it doesn't mean anything, because you don't have to mention everything. The main thing is whatever you mention on the CV is correct and honest. Omitting information does not mean you are lying. But giving wrong information, incorrect information, that actually is lying.
Great. I think that's it with the
Okay.
past the hour as well. Actually, I'm thankful to you for going over 15 minutes from the prescribed time. Uh, I hope you had a great session with this. I'm thanking you again because I know the importance of this session, the importance of it for people who listen to it and for their careers as well. This is the
Yes.
kind of guidance that, as students specifically, I wish I had gotten, and even now as a professional, there are a lot of people who don't work on their CVs. They just think
No.
we've gotten a job. Whoever wants to hire us will hire us. They should know about us somehow. And when it comes to making the CV, they destroy their impression, no matter how technically strong they are or what a
Oh,
great employee they are.
oh,
So
बिल्कुल.
this is something that is really needed, and people don't give a lot of importance to. Imagine like your first impression is wrong in front of an employer. So what else do you expect from that person?
बिल्कुल.
Uh, so I keep checking up with Tahir Bhai, and he keeps sending me emails that I keep in store, and I see कि अच्छा मुझे अपने CV में क्या improve करना and what I need to work on. Again, Tahir Bhai is available on LinkedIn. I'll write the name over here as well because a lot of people were asking how they can approach you.
Actually, I'd just like to mention
Tahir,
something else, Umar.
yeah,
It's very, very important what I'm going to tell you now.
yeah,
You know, last couple of months I've been writing a lot of CVs for very senior people with like 15 20 साल experience, कोई 26 साल experience भी है, with 10 15 really, and the CVs are almost skeleton in content. And the primary reason for that is that nobody is actually updating their CVs. So I request all of you, and you can thank me later, whenever you do something, whenever you make a difference, whether in anything, whenever you start a new activity, a hobby, an interest, whenever you do a project, whenever you're working, you save money, you hire people, you launch campaigns, you've contributed to something, document it down, document it on a piece of paper, and keep updating your CV. Okay, keep updating your CV on a. You don't know when opportunity is going to come. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Look what's happening now. A lot of people are being made redundant, and they have to look for work. And there are companies who are still hiring. Now that CV document needs to be made. If it's half written or half baked or weak in whatever, following what is bad practice we've spoken about, then the chances you won't get an interview. So keep updating your CV on a regular basis. Always have it ready on standby. It doesn't matter whether you're planning to leave or not. Always have your CV ready on standby, because you're not going to be able to remember what you have done. I guarantee you in writing, you will not remember everything you have done. So ये बहुत important चीज़ है, and I want to repeat. When you give seriousness to this document, the hiring manager will give serious to the document. If you don't show respect to the document, you find the hiring manager will not respect the document. So I'll just finish on that point.
great, Tahir Bhai. Thank you so much once again. People, if you have anything to add, you can still add over here, and later when we check the stream, Tahir Bhai or myself can reply to it. You can again, Tahir Bhai is a guru, CV guru, coach guru, behavioral interviewing skills guru. He's just a mentor to me and to a lot of others as well. He's just a very humble, has a humble personality. That's why he doesn't like me saying this again and again. But I'm very obliged and I'm thankful to you for taking out time all the way from London. I know it's you have other work as well to do rather than giving
Oh,
webinars.
Sarji, we are also locked down here. I'm not allowed to go out other than once a day for exercise.
Really, once a day for
Yes,
exercise.
bus and emergencies. If any is emergency, otherwise that we can just go out once for exercise. Any essential foods you can go out. Otherwise, we have to stay in. Lucky I have a little garden, so we can go and do some. Me and my son will go and do some exercise in the back, just to keep fit and have a bit of fun.
Chale, I hope this ends soon.
Yes, inshallah.
Situation that we come into. And thank you once again. And
I know.
again, people, if you want to reach out to Tahir Bhai, it's Tahir Hussain Khan on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And Tahir Bhai, a lot of people ask me about the email address, because when
No,
they add you,
I've changed it now. I've opened it up. मैंने open कर लिया.
okay,
Anyone can. I had about 40. It's open now, so anyone can add me in. I was very specific in who I was adding in, but now I've opened it up to everybody.
challenge, perfect. So people can add you, and people, you can always go to Tahir Bhai for advice. And if your organizations are looking for relevant skills for the employees, then you can go. Okay.
And I just
Thank you,
like,
Tahir Bhai,
and I
once
just
again.
one second. I just like to add everybody do log on tomorrow. Umar is with a fantastic leader, Farhad Karamali, one of the top trainers of Pakistan. Very respected, very learned. So I would request all of you to log on tomorrow and start firing all your questions about conflict. And I think a lot of people now who are stuck at home with their family or friends, whoever they live with, husbands,
Yeah,
wives, fathers,
all
mothers,
moderators.
children. I think conflict is a very important at this current time. And I would request all of you, I certainly will be logging in. I'll be to see
Oh,
what they have
please
to
do.
say. I will.
Please do. Please do.
I'll have a few questions. I have
All of us have.
good luck.
Chale, okay.
Hello.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Love.